Hello and welcome to the most important event in N&N News history. We have a live debate with George Washington and Weeaboo Trash, George Washington's friend and compatriot. Nev, can you explain a little bit about who George Washington is so that the audience can sort of get an idea of who we're debating?
So George Washington is a German fellow who's the head of the organization PP News.
Okay.
They've been badgering our staff for a couple of weeks now, and so I've decided to put an end to this rivalry by hosting this debate here to settle things once and for all.
Yeah, and just so people know how this debate went, ahead of time, we all got together two topics, and we're going to just go through them one by one. I think, in the interest of making everything fair, I think we should let George go first, don't you think?
Oh, before we start, Norm, have you brought any kind of, emergency safe space apparatus, whatnot? I brought Shay just in case I feel scared or, unsafe at all.
I was going to bring my emergency safe space pillow, but sadly I just could not get it off my bed. It was stuck. So.
Oh.
Anyway,
how did it get stuck?
I really don't know. I think we should probably just get to the debate.
Yeah, that's good thinking, Norm. Let's get into it.
We'd like to give you 1 minute to...
Wait. One more thing.
Okay, go ahead.
We forgot to introduce personal pronouns.
Oh.
I think we should do that.
Thank you, Nev. That would have been absolutely awful. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we can't go into a debate and not know the opposition's pronouns.
Okay, well, I'll start. Norm, Nust, Ni. Nev, go ahead.
Neville, Z, Z. Please refer to me as such.
And George?
My pronouns are just he and him.
Okay, and Weeaboo Trash?
She, her.
Okay. Well, I'm really, thank you, Nev. I would have been awful if we forgot that. All right. Well, George.
Yeah, it's just common courtesy. Yeah.
George, go ahead. You can take us away. You have 1 minute to explain your question and your position on it. Your time starts now.
Is honestly my first question was just should harassment from POCs against white people be called racism or just harassment? My standpoint is just harassment is not really any racism because they are the ones we actually oppressed in history. So positive is all I gotta say.
Could you speak up a little bit? Sorry.
I was just waiting more about your opinion on this, and not actually a full-blown question that will cover a whole minute or two.
You have about 30 more seconds here for your introduction.
Honestly, not more to say.
You really don't want to do anything more with your minute introduction here?
I do have one example I found online. White woman making a video.
Okay, sorry, you're actually your time is up for your intro. Okay, can I just do some quick reactions here? You said racism it's not about color, but how would it not be about color when clearly that's what racism is? Have you thought about that, George?
No, I really said it's not racism.
George, can I cut you in real quick here?
Yeah.
Have you ever taken a basic course in critical race theory? Do you know what you're talking about?
That's a good point. Nev. Because me and Nev combined have over 25 years of racial political experience. Through racial study courses. I mean, I was going to racial study courses in like middle school. That's when we started. So I don't know how they do it in Germany.
Actually.
Yeah, well, England is a little more progressive, at least.
A university course on politics, not really a course on racial politics or anything.
Okay, so you're telling me you have no background in this field?
Can I just ask a question, George? Why do you sound like a robot? What's happening there?
Honestly, it's just a microphone I have dismounted my back again because I had some technical difficulties. But one of it is just the settings.
Very interesting.
Also, can I really want to point something out here because I think that George is being really racist there. He was talking about POCs harassing non-POCs. I think that's very stereotypical and derogatory. I mean, as a raceless person, I can sort of understand, but I mean, if I was a POC, I would be very, very angry right now.
Can I even ask you this here, George? Do you have any examples of POCs harassing any non-POCs? Because as far as I'm aware, it basically only goes the other way around. At least from what I've seen from Twitter, what I've seen from my research.
I have a double-side example.
Fine, present your.
Both sides.
Okay, you can present your example here. Go ahead.
Okay, so a white woman making a video about a TikTok video, YouTube video, Twitter video, call it what you want.
Can I ask a question? How do you know this person identified as a woman?
That's a good question.
She's just saying she has it in her pronouns, TikTok, bio, anywhere.
Okay, that's understandable. But you have to be aware, though, that pronouns don't really correlate to a specific gender. So someone could be male presenting and using she, her pronouns.
Or,
okay, so
and we can't forget about the very important she, they pronouns.
Yeah.
Which are arguably very important.
This white person was making a video. Platform doesn't matter. I was going down the street at night, and suddenly a person came up behind me.
Yes.
And she tried to grab my bag.
Yep.
And ran away with the bag.
Okay.
And as a last message, she said, "Guess the race of the person trying to grab my bag."
Okay. So what you're giving me an example of racism right now? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yes.
So you're trying to say that a POC took the bag of a non-POC? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I think he's no, Nev. I think you misunderstand. I think what he's saying is that the person who made that TikTok was racist. I agree.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree.
That's a great example of racism.
May I cut in real quick?
Oh, go ahead.
I believe that's not the message. I think the message is that if the people who are viewing it, if they're going to automatically assume, go right to like a certain race as an answer, then that is the racist part, because anyone of any race could have been capable of taking that back.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
You see, I think that what's happening here is this TikTok user is using their platform to spread racism and bigotry.
Yeah.
By specifically saying to the audience, which is assumably thousands of people, that only POCs steal. Yeah, if you look at the contrary and you look at the facts that me and Norm have scoured across all sorts, you would know that white people are responsible for 90% of all theft crime.
That's true. That's true. Especially theft of purses and small bags and items. I mean, white people are much more likely to pickpocket. If you look at any of the hooligans, I mean, look at what's that one movie, Oliver, the one with the kids who go around stealing for people. I mean, if you just that as those are all white kids, right? So,
I think you can infer from that as well that white people, as youths, are encouraged to engage in this particularly harmful behavior, especially towards POCs. Mm-hmm. So I think this is a very toxic culture that we have to dismantle very early on.
I agree completely. We have to start early on.
I think this is why we need critical race theory classes, and we need to start teaching them young. Ideally, ages 4 to 6 is when this teaching should start.
But essentially, we need to fill their brain before we have to clean their brain before we fill it. So as empty their brain as possible is the best for any of these.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This was just an example because I actually found a real video of a POC person, I would call it, because she did not specify her pronouns.
Okay.
Actually making a video called Guess the Race.
Yep.
Where she said, I was going down the street at night, passing.
Wait, correct me if I'm, but didn't you just give this example?
No.
POC. Are you sure?
It sounded very familiar. Okay, different video.
George, are you differently mentally abled?
That's all right if you are.
No. Just I'm stating an example because a POC person walking down the street at night, passing a white person.
Yeah.
The white person clutches the bag tighter. At this point, we don't actually know she's white, but she says, guess the race, and your first impression is going to a non-POC person. But why?
My first impression is going to a non-POC person, but why?
Yes. Because late in the video she mentions, yes, you guessed it right. white. But why?
It was a white
Why?
person that clutched a purse?
Yes.
Because that
Maybe
white
just-
person is racist. Yes.
I mean, what
Thank you
else
for
are we
another
meant to
great
gather
example of
from?
racism.
But the same
Honestly,
argument
why?
could be made here as with the last one. That could have been anyone clutching their purse. It could have just been anxiety. Anyone has anxiety at night going through anywhere.
No, I think that's just an excuse to
Yeah,
verify
but-
racism.
Honestly,
I think that you claiming it's anxiety, you are effectively enabling systemic racism. You are one of the perpetrators.
No, I think I'm speaking from experience because this kind of stuff actually happens everywhere.
Are you a POC?
I
That's a
am
good
Hispanic,
question.
yes.
Well, have you taken the POC verification test to prove that?
Well, there's the problem with all kinds of online tests or quizzes or whatever. They can easily be rigged to.
Well, not the POC verification test. We've had experts put hundreds of hours into developing that test, and we can verify that it is the most accurate means
Yeah.
of determining if someone is a POC.
As someone who has
verified
taken
test.
classes in cybersecurity, I can effectively tell you that it cannot.
Well, have you taken the correct class in cybersecurity?
There's only certain classes, yes.
was it a racially
Well,
inclusive class?
I would like to think so. There were plenty of POCs there.
No, I mean, but did it cover racially inclusive topics, like anti-racist topics?
I don't think that's
Any-
an issue in virtual crimes.
Any class?
Did it
I mean,
cover gender
wait, did
inclusion
it
at
cover?
all?
Are you telling me it didn't cover virtual hate crimes?
Could you give me an example?
An example of a virtual hate crime.
Cyber rape.
That is a great example. And on average, POC women experience it 20 times more online. It's crazy. And you see
You have a
these.
source?
I think that came out in the Washington Post, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, but you shouldn't really be asking us for sources because we're journalists. We're approved journalists. We know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Asking us that is very demeaning.
Well, I mean,
approved by
I
who?
would rather. Well, I would rather have. I would rather have proof to go by besides
Our
just taking
words,
someone's
not
word.
proof
word.
enough.
I mean, just going by someone's word for it, you can't exactly give them 100% credibility.
Yeah, but we're
I think,
journalists.
yeah, I was going to say we have 100% credibility because we've proven time and time again that we know what we're talking about. And
Well, that's what all I'm asking for is the proof of it,
We are
proof
the
of what?
proof.
the proof of your claims. That's all I'm asking for.
Look, why can't you just believe us? I mean, we're here now. We're demonstrating
Yeah.
facts. We are bringing truth and power together as one.
I'd also like to make the point. I'd also like to make the point here that currently we're on George Washington's debate topic, and George has yet to present one Cohen point to why racism doesn't exist. Or what was the question again, George?
No, honestly, I was just saying, should harassment from POCs against any other race, including white, other POCs, should it be considered as?
Did you say
racial?
white POCs?
Yeah, there are no white POCs.
No, I said, should harassment from POCs against whites, any other race, doesn't matter against
Well, I mean,
which
what do you mean
race.
any other race? There's POCs and then there's whites. You can't conflate the two. Or
Yeah, I mean,
Let's say, should harassment from POCs against whites and vice versa be
well,
considered
there is no
racism
such thing
or
as harassment from POCs against
I was
whites.
gonna
that's
say
a
it's-
deliberately incorrect question.
yeah, that's not harassment. That's called reparations.
Honestly, I've been
Or
going
education.
home.
Yeah,
I've been
re-education.
going home from work at like 11 p.m. because I had late shifts, and someone came up to me asking if I want to buy illegal substances. I'm not going to say race because.
Okay, wait. First off here. Why are you getting down on a person for just trying to make a living in this world?
Why would you make a living with selling illegal substances when
Well,
there's better
don't
ways?
know that they're illegal.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you know? Do you deal in this market at all?
No, but I know exactly what
Then
is
you're not an
illegal and
expert. You don't
is
know what you're
illegal.
talking about.
I'm pretty
mean-
sure any sane.
You just interrupted me.
Yeah, please
I was speaking.
don't
I
interrupt Neville.
apologize. I apologize.
So I was going to say, for a start, you don't know what this gentle person was going to sell you. It could have been anything.
Well, so it's okay if I just snort a line of coke right in front of you, because you don't know if it's illegal or legal or not.
By coke, do you mean the drug or do you mean like the drink?
No, the drug.
Are you? But I still the question here is, what does this have to do at all with racism or this debate? So somebody attempted to sell you drugs. Is that your point?
I think this is what he's trying to say. Is he's trying to.
It seems like he's trying to conflate drug dealing with POCs. Yeah.
And it's very racist of you to suggest this, George.
I was going away from the person because it actually happened, and he started pushing me around because it actually happened, threatened me to throw me in front of the train tracks because I did not buy anything, and I was going to walk away from him.
How do you know they were threatening you?
Well, he threatened and said, "I'm going to throw you on the train tracks as soon as the train comes."
Did you contact the police, George?
Oh, no, we don't do the police, remember, we do social service workers.
Yeah, I mean, did you contact your local social service department?
How would I have done this when this person threatens me?
The social service worker comes and then
call them later? I don't know.
Resolves the problem.
Yeah.
How is he going to call them later if, God forbid, he dies?
Well, of course you couldn't call him if he died.
I think that's a very pessimistic way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if someone's going to threaten you, it only makes sense that you're going to assume the worst.
Well, you can say he was threatening, but it may have just been a business tactic.
Yeah, you call this what you call threatening could just be playing hardball.
I mean, I hate capitalism, don't support it, but I mean that person may have just been making a living. So, I mean, who are you to judge?
Yeah. I mean, it really just doesn't seem fair to me.
So if I did the same thing to a POC person, would it just be a business tactic, or would it be suddenly racism or harassment?
I'm confused. So if you tried to sell drugs to a POC person,
and he does not want anything, and then I threaten him with crime on the charges, would this be racism or harassment or just another business strategy?
I think that would be, well, if you did it towards a POC person, are you doing it because they're a POC?
No, because they don't want to buy anything.
But wait, you said you were going to sell it to them, but now you don't want to buy anything. This hypothetical makes no sense. We're trying to talk about racism here, George. Please, could we stay on topic?
Yeah, on topic.
How is this question? Can you explain how this question relates to the topic?
When you said it isn't any racism.
Look, George, you said that the question was about racism, not drugs.
Yeah. If the question was, do I think the person was being racist towards you by threatening you? I don't think the person was being racist towards you by threatening you.
Probably just having a bad day.
Yeah, probably just having a bad one.
May I step in for a minute?
Go ahead.
Can you wait? Can you give a trigger warning first? You've been saying some pretty,
inflammatory
offensive stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Trigger warning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think what George is trying to say is, if in this example someone is threatening someone because they wouldn't buy said drugs, would it be perceived as, like you said before, a business tactic if they were not POC, or would it be perceived as like a threat if they were POC?
Can I would like to answer that question by not answering it. The fact is, this question, the poignancy of this question is just very weak, because even if this is or this isn't, like, what does this have to do with racism existing as a greater whole?
No, can I just am I alright to quickly pass this question along to my intern Wilbur so we can fact check it?
Yeah, I see what Wilbur thinks.
Okay, let me give me a moment. Let me just send an email.
Because I'm really baffled by this. I mean, this feels like they're just spitting non sequiturs at us here. At this point.
Yeah, I think we're getting to a point now.
We might have to move to the next debate topic. Yeah.
Yeah, we should move on. I mean, I'll tell you the results of Wilbur's fact check. I've just sent the email now.
See if you can get the debate victory projections too.
Yeah. It's all the interns will no doubt be interested in that sort of stuff. But yeah, let's proceed to the next one. I mean, that was terrible. I mean, I'm so disappointed, George.
So, to show you guys how it's done, Nev, would you like to do the first topic, or would you like me to do the first topic?
I'll be honest, Norm, I don't remember the topics. I think the interns forgot to pass the information along to me.
They didn't tell you?
I think I'm going to have to start firing people.
Okay, fine. The first question we have is, did George Floyd deserve to die because Derek Chauvin was, quote-unquote, having a bad day? You may ask, this question seems off-base, loaded, and just sort of accusatory, but the fact is that's what Derek Chauvin's lawyers were arguing in court, ostensibly. Maybe not word for word, but that was basically what they were saying, that he was frightened by loud noises, that he acted much like a cat or a child in the situation. So, the real fact is George Floyd was murdered by Derek Chauvin, and it's never going to be justifiable because...
Norm, can we hold a minute's silence, please, for George Floyd?
You know what?
I think that would be very appropriate.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Everyone, please place your fist on your chest. In fact, no, raise it for BLM.
Yeah. Try to get your fist in shot there, Neff.
Is it in the shot now?
Yeah, it's in the shot.
Okay. I would be kneeling as well if I wasn't sat down. Just imagine I'm kneeling.
How much longer do we have, Nev?
I'm not sure. A minute, I think. Did you start the countdown?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, great. Well, this is your guys' chance to present a rebuttal here.
All right. May I start?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So, while I do agree that what happened to George Floyd should never have happened and is something horrible, I do have to argue that if he was willing to do this to one person, he could have been capable of doing this to anyone. I'm not sure if it's completely about race. I think it's more because Derek Chauvin was just overall not a good cop.
I think you're wrong. It was absolutely all about race. I mean, he targeted George Floyd because George Floyd was just an innocent POC just minding his business.
Can I ask you, can you give me one example, please? One example on police violence against a white person? Because if you want, I can start listing off names here. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Rayshad Brooks, Jacob Blake.
Makia Byron, the one who was shot recently.
Yeah, that guy.
She was engaging in a cultural practice and a police officer just came and shot her.
Was she praying or something, or?
I'm not sure. I think she was having a play fight or something with a friend.
Oh, that's that's completely normal. That happens.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. And then all of a sudden, this cop comes along and shoots her. It's terrible.
Yeah. So I mean, to make the claim that that this violence is not racially motivated, there are too many examples of it being racially motivated for this just to be a fluke occurrence.
Yeah, this is absolutely a targeted thing. It's systemic, and it's up to people like me and you, Norm, to bring the system down and utterly destroy it.
That's true. That's very true.
I mean, I wasn't trying to deny that I wasn't denying that this didn't happen to them. I was just like, for example, because it's one of the most popular.
You were downplaying the element of race in this, and that is why we have systemic racism in the first place. Because people like you keep denying it and allowing this to continue happening.
I never denied it.
You just said earlier that
Wait,
race
so you
had
agree with
nothing
us?
to do with it.
I said that I meant in that case, I think it overall was just because Derek Chauvin was a terrible cop.
I mean, did you watch CNN at all? Did you watch MSNBC? Did you read Cinch News?
I mean, one of the things that came out from the trial is that we saw Derek Chauvin's systemic racism. I mean, did you see the way that he looked at the African Americans in that room? Yeah,
I mean, he probably wanted to put his knee on them as well.
And for all we know, he would have if it was not for the brave work of the security at the courtroom. Because all we know, Derek could still be dangerous towards any POCs.
Yeah, I mean, did you see the way he kept raising one of his eyebrows? I mean, I was watching that and my heart was racing. I was terrified. I mean, I thought, is he eyeing up the POCs in the room to kill? Is that what he's trying to do?
Well, sometimes when people are like murderers, they'll have like a death glare. Maybe that's what that was.
Yeah, there's probably his way of singling out the POCs if to say, I'm going to kneel on your neck later.
Well, you praise the security at the courthouse, but you do realize that they are also part of the police force, correct?
How do you know they're not social service workers?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And security is different from police. Like, come on.
I mean,
not the same thing.
I think you're trying to conflate two things here. I mean, it makes no
Was the
sense.
security different from the police when they have almost the same identical base training?
Because they have a different job title, they make a different amount of money.
They both enforce the law the same way.
They have different pension systems.
Security, they're meant to protect
Yes, but
someone.
instead
The
of
police go
just,
around killing POCs for a living.
If that were the
instead of
case, then the
enforcing
security would have been doing
And security is sort of rather focused. You know, very rarely does a security guard like plant a gun on somebody.
Also, the security is just like the police, but in a single place, like a mall or something.
They're more of a private sector.
I'm gonna have to stop you there. I think that you're getting ahead of yourself here now. You're trying to get off topic because you know you can't defeat us in this one.
Yeah, I mean,
Honestly, at this point, you're just interrupting each word of mine and stopping.
No, George, go ahead.
George,
you have as much time as you need for your rebuttal. Go ahead. So please explain to us why it was all right that Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd.
Honestly, trigger warning.
Go ahead, Trigger.
It was bullshit that he had a bad day. Maybe it was just poorly trained. Could have happened to anyone, or he was really racist. But at this point, if he doesn't open up and talk about it, we can only speculate if he was racist or not. We don't have the points of it.
Well,
George,
would you not argue that we have a very? I mean, we can only speculate, but we can speculate on the evidence we have. We have evidence of him killing an African American person. That seems like a pretty clean and cut case of disliking a person of African American descent.
I mean, no, we don't even need to speculate. We know at this point.
Yeah, we do know. In fact, and now that it's proven in court, we can say it without worry of slander.
Exactly. We can say now without a shadow of a doubt that Derek Chauvin was a white supremacist who murdered George Floyd.
Honestly, one of my white friends, he was a train driver for some while, accidentally killed a POC woman with the train because she crossed, even though it was a red light. Was this racism or not?
I'd probably say yes. What would you say, Nod?
I think that's a clear-cut case of racism. Yeah, and sometimes, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you don't have to target an action for it to be a racist action. You know, sometimes you can do something, and if it affects African American people disproportionately, then it's racist. So if your friend killed more African American people than he killed white people, then yes, he's racist. With a train.
Does that make the train racist then?
No, it makes the train driver racist. You can't just. It's not.
At this point, it was pretty much a trick question because his wife is actually African American, and she saw the video footage.
George, making things up now. I think you're trying to catch us.
She saw the footage of him driving and actually saw it was an accident. There was no way he could have stopped the train at the right time.
George, you're making up excuses here. He could have stopped the train if he wanted to, but he saw the POC. His white instincts kicked in.
Went right.
And he probably drove the train faster.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. And for this matter, can I explain? Many racist people have white friends or even white, even black wives. It's like a power thing. It's grotesque, really.
You're right. I actually want several black wives.
It's essentially what it is. It's white people's way of kind of going back to their colonial days. They can't enslave people anymore.
It's like slavery
so
light.
What do? Yeah, exactly. It's like with pets as well. I mean, pets are a key indicator of white people having that craving to own slaves. Yeah. I mean, it gets worse when you consider pets of colour, but let's not get into that.
I mean, that's a little off topic here. So I think we without a shadow of a doubt, can all agree that yes, Derek Chauvin killing George Floyd was awful, and that it happened because of racism.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The one thing I can't agree with you on is that what happened is very much awful. I can at least.
Are you trying to express a hate opinion?
No, absolutely not. I'm trying to agree with you. Actually, I'm trying to agree that it was a terrible thing that should
But
never
you just
happen.
said that you don't agree with us.
I don't agree on the part where it was based on race, but I do agree that it
Well,
was
why?
terrible.
Why? I mean, we have so much evidence. I mean, the victim was a POC, the
Mm-hmm.
perpetrator was white. That's all the evidence you need.
Was it just
That's a good
like
point.
wherever I
It
agree
was
he
like
was
George just said, unless we get it directly from them, then we can only just speculate. We can't really know the truth.
But that's like saying that you can't solve any murder without a direct confession. I mean, there's plenty of times where people won't confess to something they're guilty of. Like, of course, Derek Chauvin's not going to come out and admit that he's racist. But it's almost like it's not his decision. It's the public who gets to decide if you're racist or not, not you. I mean, it's not like you get to. Same with your actions. So let's get back to the train just for a second. The fact is, if the public thinks that was a racist train and a racist train driver, then yes, that's what that train and train driver were.
But it was proven
Do we even need to consider
box.
the public at this point, though? I mean, as long as we get the opinions, the approved opinions of journalists and those who have the correct authority to deem so. I mean, do we really need public opinion?
That's why we're called the public voice, Nav.
Exactly, yeah. We speak for the public. Yeah. We bring power to truth.
All right, George. You're going to get another chance here with your next debate question. You got a minute. I suggest you use it a little better this time.
If you want, you can present the next question.
No. Go ahead. You have to present your next question. It's your question here. We want to. I don't want to rob you of your debate experience and your debate chance.
Well, my next question was: is gendering, in cases of video games, normal card games, or anything, going to par? Because there's, for example, the card game, the poker game, where the queen is worth more, even though other games are just the same worth. Doesn't make sense that you would put something first and change it after like 1,000 years, even though everyone was used to it, just because you don't have any problems in the world, and now you have to create problems in order to be satisfied with yourself.
That's one way of looking at it. I could argue that a different way of perceiving it is that we are rooting out long-standing injustices, long-standing biases and prejudices, and we're getting rid of them, and we're making the world a better place. And just because something has been the case for 1,000 years, just because something has been the norm, it does not mean that we should be all right with it. It should not mean that we should just blindly accept it. We should always be questioning the norm.
Okay, so do you know the rules of poker? What is worth more?
Do I know the roots of poker and what is worth more? And not off the top of my head.
Okay, so basically the king is seen as worth more, but
Sexist.
Then, as another example, is blackjack. They are same worth. They're both equal.
Can you call it POC Jack, please?
Yeah.
POC Jack, for example, they have the same worth. They are both equal. And then there is certain games from my country where the queen is like 4 times the amount of a king. It's just the game designer's rules that make it sexist or racist or anything. It's not actually the card game itself.
Well, I would agree with you here, but there's one clear issue. The fact that they're even including kings, for me, already means they're bad, because nothing should glorify kingliness. I mean, the queens, I stan, but kings never. I say we make it a 48 card deck, and I'm happy with you guys getting back to playing your card games. But until then, I'm not going to support any of these sexist pastimes. I mean, because it's ingraining a false idea that there's something all right with the patriarchy, you know, and we should let nothing that supports the patriarchy exist or be used by normal people or by anybody, really.
Technically, you are supporting it because
you're interrupting me while I'm speaking. Yeah, I was going to suggest that I think we've got past the point where we even need kings or queens, and I think we should have a non-gendered leader. So a position is just essentially a figurehead. I mean, is there any need to gender the title of a leader?
Yeah, I agree. I think we should have like leader, and we should have several different leaders. Like maybe you could keep 4, right? The real question is, in all of this, do we keep the Jack, or do we keep or do we get rid of that too?
Could we make the Jack non-binary?
We could make it a Jill. Probably do that.
Maybe Jesse. I mean, that could go either way. So.
Oh, good idea. Good idea.
You could, but why?
Well, in order to make the game more trans-inclusive.
But that's not historically accurate.
Sure, but this, who needs history when we have the new history that we can create for ourselves and forge and allow us to sort of have a better country as a whole. I mean,
well, there's a saying.
I thought of a title for the position of leadership. You could have person of statesmanship, perhaps.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
But there is a saying, and it goes, "History is doomed to repeat itself," and that is going to be the case if you aren't taught about previous history.
Well,
but,
look, I think
if the saying is that history is doomed to repeat itself, I mean, why even try then? If it's doomed to repeat itself, who cares?
I think at this point, you have elements of history that no one needs to know about. It should be discarded and forgotten. I think we can all agree on that.
People need to have room in their brains for more important things in history. We need to have room for racial studies, for gender studies. I mean, we need to make room for all this new information that we're putting into this world here. Why do we need
this toilet flushing, I heard?
Yeah, my room is across from a bathroom. I apologize.
All right.
But how would you remember all these things like George Floyd in histories?
Oh, well, you see, George Floyd, I've been an advocate of this for a while. You have heard of St. George's Day, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of the old St. George, who was this somewhat crusty old white man, we replaced him with George Floyd.
Yeah. Powerful. I think that's a great idea. Also, though, just because we don't have normal history doesn't mean we can't have Black history, right?
Exactly.
Well, we already have Black History Month.
But give them the whole year.
I mean, you could just have PLC year or something. So each year you can dedicate a certain amount of whatever to celebrate the accomplishments of PLCs.
What difference would it make than just a month?
What did you say?
Yep.
What difference would it make if you just had a month or a year? Because at some point, people, it doesn't matter which race, would get tired of it.
Well, that's their problem then. They're racist if they get tired of it.
I was going to say, anybody who's anti-racist would absolutely love the African American year.
What about Black people who are tired of BLM?
What?
I don't think they exist.
No, they do. There are plenty of cases.
No, I think that you're bringing hate facts into this. I think that you're lying, and I don't appreciate you spreading misinformation in this debate.
I can assure you, I do not lie.
Well, you're lying
you
right
just
now.
lied now. Yeah.
There's a few people online that made videos just saying how sick of they are of.
Have you ever considered they may be internally racist?
That's a good point.
Black people being racist. Yeah?
No. They've been corrupted by white supremacist ideals.
Yeah, it's internalized racism, and it's even gone so far. We've even seen a few Black white supremacists, like Kanye West. Yeah, I'm sure there are other examples too.
There was that one Black woman who wore the MAGA dress. I can't remember. Oh, Candace Owens as well. She's another white supremacist.
So yeah, and I think at least one thing you can say is the white supremacists are getting more inclusive, that they're letting Black people in. But even that's not all right, because I think it would be better if they just disbanded.
Well, it can't be white supremacy if there's Black people in it.
But it's internalized racism.
That's
like saying gay people can be internally homophobic. That's just not a thing.
They can, yeah.
That is possible. I mean, I think you need to educate yourself. Mm-hmm. You should have educated yourself before you came here.
I'm pretty educated on the topic, considering that I am a lesbian.
Wait, are you the fake lesbian?
If you want to call it fake, sure, but my girlfriend will tell you otherwise.
Could you use the term they friend, please?
Thank you.
She identifies as a woman. She, her.
Yeah, but could you use the word they friend? I mean, we're trying to eliminate gendered language here. We can't do it while using all these gendered phrases. It's just being a bit considerate.
A little bit more trans inclusive, yeah.
But she's not trans, so.
But people who have trans partners will feel more comfortable if you just use terms like they friend. It's just being considerate.
Fine. My they friend will tell you otherwise.
Thank you.
My they friend Vanessa, they are obviously agender.
Mm-hmm.
Or was it bigender? I think it was bigender. Can't remember.
And so we'll have to get an updated list from hers, figure out what all the information is. We have one more debate topic here. Now, would you like to present this one? It's about germophobia.
What was the question again? The interns didn't send it through. Oh, wait. Speaking of interns, we've got the fact check from Wilbur here.
Oh, what does Wilbur say?
Wilbur is saying not to listen to George's point because it doesn't make sense and goes against the approved opinions.
Thanks, Wilbur.
Did not just say he is wrong. I've heard this many times before, and honestly, I'm sick of.
Well, I mean, you just have to get the correct opinions then. I mean, you shouldn't be spouting wrong opinions. Yeah. You're going to have a case of being told you're wrong if you keep spouting them.
How is it a wrong opinion if I say, for example, Sheldon?
George, you're getting off topic here. We're about to start the new debate topic.
Unless you interrupt it every single time.
75% of the audience think we're winning right now.
Yes.
Let me get the studio audience report here.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Okay, so all right, so
75 think we're in the lead.
Our studio audience, our interns as well, are saying that we are having a 100% chance of victory here now.
100%.
In other words, we can't lose.
We can't lose. All right. The last topic that we have to discuss here is we think there's been a considerable rise in journophobia in the last couple of years, and because of that, journalism has quickly climbed to the top of the most dangerous job rankings. Where now it's basically in the lead. I mean, I can't think of a more dangerous job. Maybe asbestos handler. Really, it's hard to beat the dangers involved in journalism.
Even now, Norm, we are risking our lives by putting ourselves out there.
That's true.
And it's got to a point where sometimes before the pandemic started, I was afraid to go outside because of systemic germophobia.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to present an example. Just earlier, even before we did this show, one of our moderators, who is a journalist, actually, was threatened by somebody who said they had their personal information, and because that was unable to moderate. Yeah, New Hat.
Wow. I mean, not many people like New Hat anyway, but I mean, that's very sad.
Oh, we have another forecast here from Gary O'Connell Jr. He/him/his/they. They forecast that the journophobia topic will turn the other 25% in favor of N&N News for 100% victory. That's a good point.
Oh, I've got an updated report as well from Samantha from the finance department.
What did she say?
She's saying that our comments are insightful, analytical, and she wants to know if you're available next week on Saturday. No.
Well, tell her we'll see what happens.
Okay, I'll let her know.
George, are you going to attempt to rebuttal our point on journophobia, or?
I believe journalism.
Why would journalism not be one of the most dangerous jobs? We are the most public figures. We're constantly under ridicule. People know our political leanings inherently because we report on them. So we're always under attack. I mean, do you know how many hate messages I get every day, George? Do you?
Probably enough to make it cry.
It's about 100 hate messages a day on average.
That's almost as much as mine. I got an average of about 100, 108.
108.
It's very upsetting.
Do you know the mental health impact of that, George? Have you ever considered the mental health impact of that, George? Do you know
I mean, I have mental health issues, and I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, but you're not a journalist. Your mental health issues probably aren't as bad as ours.
That's true.
Honestly, at this point, you consider factual videos or parody videos as saying.
I mean, both Norm and myself, we both have PTSD.
So do I.
I mean, my PTSD started in 2016 in November, and it's not gone away since.
Mine started in 2014.
I mean, we don't have to. This is not a CAFO. Yeah, we have to compare struggles here. I mean, the fact is,
I'm not making it a competition. I'm just saying that trying to use it as a point to gain sympathy isn't going to work.
trying to gain sympathy. We're trying to demonstrate how oppressed we are.
Yeah, we try to demonstrate the toll that journalism has on a person, the toll that journalism could have on a community, as far as how difficult it is to be one of us. I mean,
would you consider factual videos or parody videos as hate messages?
do
we view what? Sorry.
Do you consider parody videos of fact videos as hate messages, even though they are allowed?
I don't think that parody should exist at all. I think it is incredibly dangerous because it spreads misinformation.
It's, you know what, it can affect a person's brand. Like I had somebody who was making a Stanny W podcast to make fun of me, and that was awful. I know I was crying for weeks after that. So, you know, it's
he has signed it as parody. It was obvious it's parody. You understand it. Everyone knew it was a parody or just making fun.
You know, but
I think
you can't justify hate by saying you're just making fun or it's just a parody. I mean, it's just as hateful. It's just as hurtful. You know, this isn't just, you can't just do takes backsies here, George. You know, when somebody does something that hurts a journalist, I mean, the effects that has on the entire world. Because when you hurt a journalist, I mean, it affects how we can get the news out. I mean, what if people didn't hear about these important events because all of us journalists were gone because you scared us away? You know?
Let's say the J-pop song about Trump is considered parody at this point.
J-pop song, are you saying?
Any J-pop song, including...
What's wrong with J-pop? Are you criticizing our music brands now?
It's a beautiful...
At this point, everything that has a political topic and is just...
Look, I think you're really stretching it here. J-pop is a very artistic brand. It's very kind of how would you describe it, Norm?
It's magical.
Yeah,
it makes you feel alive and makes you feel. It reminds you of the first summer you were a journalist. You know, taking down the fascist. Those sort of great. Wholesome vibes and nostalgia. Those are sort of the things we're going for with the whole J-pop.
Well, it reminds me of the first MAGA hat I burnt.
Yeah. The first one's always the most powerful, I think.
Yeah, I kept a tally at one point of that, I think. Let me try and find it.
Let's see what we can
do.
Do give me a moment here.
If I'm with the stage that he just bashing people, I could also say it's
okay, I found my tally. Here we go. So this is a tally of all the MAGA hats I've destroyed.
Jeez.
I don't know if this is you can see it clearly here at all.
I can't stop winning.
So it's all the times you purchased one, giving money to Donald Trump?
Look, don't think of it as giving him money. Think of it as taking his property and dismantling it.
Yeah.
And still giving him money.
But then,
no, I'm not giving him money.
It means that those MAGA hats can't get in the hands of like Trump supporters.
And
exactly.
he can spend that money to make more.
But
look, I think you're taking this way out of proportion here. I think you're trying to undo the underlying message I'm trying to present.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously, at the end of the day, the message is probably is the most important thing, right?
Exactly.
Did you buy them off-brand or something?
Did you buy them off-brand, Nev? That was a question.
I'm not going to answer that question, man. I think that's a very intrusive question. Yeah. It's an attack on my privacy.
Fair enough.
This is just giving a space, just like the Chauvin case. If you don't talk about it, we can speculate whether you bought them or not. So we can say you gave Trump money or not.
George.
If you did, I would
you're interrupting me. You're interrupting a journalist.
Yeah.
I think that what you're doing here is you're going too far. I mean, we're straying off topic. I mean, how does this contribute to the discussion of journophobia?
I'm just trying to point out some hypocrisy that I hear.
I mean, no, there's no hypocrisy at all. You're making things up as you go along.
Yeah.
This is serious journalism, not a fairy tale.
Excuse me, did you just use a homophobic slur against me?
Excuse me? What? No, I'm a journalist. I'm not a homophobe.
Fairy is a homophobic slur?
No, it's not.
And fairy tale is a word in and of itself. It's it's not even a compound word. It's one full word.
Exactly.
So,
Thank you for that quick fact check, Danon.
No worries, never. I'll be here anytime you need me. All right. Well, I think with that, I think we won the debate, Nav.
Wow. Okay. Oh, let me get some inside opinions here from the audience.
Yeah. Do we have any debate reactions?
Said that we are stunning and brave,
Okay.
and that we are truly doing a big service to journalism here. They said #FashSmash.
#FastSmash. I like that.
Oh, no, Fash smashed.
Oh, that too.
Headphones if you can't interrupt me at this time.
Or
You
whatever
pretty
you
much
want to
talk
call
to
it,
each
I
other
don't really care.
without taking into consideration what me and Leo they say. You pretty much
George, I
ignore
can't
the
understand what you're
idea
saying.
of things that people have around without proof.
Nom, could you translate that for me? I think he's speaking German.
I'm actually kind of lost here. Would you let's say that again, George?
I was going to say what I have to say.
All right. Thanks everybody for watching. This has been N&N News, the live debate. Stay blessed.
Thank you for having us.